For months, the White House has engaged in a smear campaign, accusing people of vandalism against Donald Trump's great project, his reflecting pool. By the time I went down to D.C. ahead of Trump's July 4th event, the so-called American flag blue pool had changed to a murky, nasty, extra funky algae green color. So, of course, the president says there was foul play.
They cut it up with a buck's knife and tried to destroy it. And it's in great shape now. They're terrible. They're vandals.
It looked beautiful. And then they cut it. And they vandalized it.
So certainly when there was vandalism, it was actually, in my opinion, it was major vandalism.
The chief target of Trump's claims of so-called major vandalism was Olympian David Hearn, who he was charged with a felony by former Fox host turned Washington, D.C. U.S. Attorney Jeanine Pirro. You know what happened? That case was later dismissed by a D.C. judge after Pirro filed a motion to dismiss the charges when it was discovered that faulty installation by a contractor was the cause of the algae, not vandalism. Shocker. Even Donald Trump is seemingly admitting defeat, posting last night on social media, quote, "There was substantial other damage to the reflecting pool, but unfortunately there is no video proof other than the damage itself." Trump continued with a very telling admission, quote, "As with many jobs, there were also some contractor error done by rushing the job for a July 4th opening, but it was a very small area of this massive pool and it was relatively inconsequential." Okay, got it. Norm Eisen is the attorney for David Hearn. He's also the founder of the Democracy Defense Fund. He joins us, Defenders Fund. He joins us now. Norm, it's good to see you. That Truth Social post, what do you make of that? Why is he admitting this now?
Well, he's trying to catch up to his own U.S. attorney who said that a rush, this is a quote.
Tell me.
I've never read anything like this.
Tell me.
In my life. A rushed and botched installation by the primary contractor led to the damage to the lining of the reflecting pool.
But Norm, he says it was a very small area of this massive pool and it was relatively inconsequential.
Well, Jacob, I was there as part of our case.
Yeah.
We made 7 filings with the court pointing out things like the photographs, the before and after photographs prove that Davy Hearn did not damage the pool. I saw the pool. It is a terrible mess. There is damage all over that pool. And no wonder this extraordinary 19-page filing by Donald Trump's own administration says not vandalism, botched and rushed installation.
I saw you spoke to the New Republic earlier, and you're demanding transcripts, if I have this right, to show whether prosecutors were candid with the grand jury. Can you tell us more about that?
The judge dismissed the case, but he left open the question of whether, as the government wants, the case is dismissed without prejudice. That means they could bring it again if they chose to, or if the president pressured them to, or with prejudice, which means the door is closed and the harassment of Mr. Hearn has to stop. We filed a brief requesting with prejudice. The test for that requires us to get these grand jury materials, because if they show that there was dishonesty with the grand jury, that is evidence that Mr. Hearn, as we believe, is being harassed. So while the harassment is clear, we want all the evidence so we can prove dismissal with prejudice, persuade the judge, and let's bring this to an end for once and for all.
In the criminal case, is there a civil case? Maybe is your client going to sue the government over his treatment by the Trump administration?
Well, we're considering all options at Democracy Defenders Fund and Action. We have over 300 legal cases and matters, so we're not shy about defending democracy. But in the meantime, we're starting to see other shoes start to drop. The congressional minority in the House have said they're going to investigate this. You could have an Office of the Inspector General investigation at both Interior and Justice.
Well, I talked to Sheldon Whitehouse last week here on this broadcast, and he said that he wrote, I remember, with Martin Heinrich. They urged the Department of Interior, the Office of the Inspector General, to open a case, in the whole thing. Have you heard from Senator Whitehouse?
great respect for Senator Whitehouse. He offered some comments on social media about the case and the Trump tweets. We believe that there should be investigations. And I will say this case is not going away because it has captured the corruption and the victimization of innocent people. Davy Hearn's an ordinary concerned citizen. He was on a bike ride. He went to look at the reflecting pool. He's touched water as an Olympian, as a many-time world champion, brought honor to the country. Now it's a felony to touch the pool. So the American people are very upset about it. We're going to keep going in court and otherwise.
There's this gentleman, David Kirk, who's a Trump loyalist, who's the Inspector General of the Department of the Interior. How concerning to you is that if this investigation goes forward?
Well, I think that the possibility that Mr. Kirk may end up being the one to look at it should be concerning. Obviously, this administration, starting with the president and the newly installed attorney general, have been on a revenge campaign, a campaign of illegality, of benefiting the president, like not just this case, so many others, Tish James, Jim Comey, the slush fund.
Yep.
I mean, it's so outrageous. But the good news is you have things like Jamie Raskin announcing a House investigation. We're considering all of the legal and litigation options. So there'll be multiple avenues, Jacob.
The Attorney General swearing in was closed to the press, so we're not even going to show the pictures from it today. But the person who did the swearing in was Emile Beauvais, who was also part of defending Trump in this hush money case. What does that mean to you?
I don't think it serves the interests of the United States to have a Trump defense lawyer reunion in the Oval Office, and one of them is a sitting federal judge, and the other one is the Attorney General. They are supposed to serve the United States, not Donald Trump. And Todd Blanche slipped at his hearing, and he said, "I'm his lawyer." Oops. I was his lawyer. Yeah. My slip is showing.
My slip is showing. Norm Eisen, it's always so great to talk to you. It's nice to see you here in New York.
Jacob.
Thanks for being here.